Holy Gospel according to Luke.
Glory to you, Lord.
One Sabbath day, Jesus went to eat dinner in the home of a leader of the Pharisees, and the people were watching him closely. There was a man there whose arms and legs were swollen. Jesus asked the Pharisees and the experts in the Torah, "Is it permitted in the Torah to heal people on the Sabbath day or not?" When they refused to answer, Jesus touched the sick man and healed him and sent him away. When Jesus noticed that all who had come to the dinner were trying to sit in the seats of honor near the head of the table, he gave them this advice. When you are invited to a wedding feast, do not sit in the seat of honor. What if someone who is more distinguished than you has also been invited? The host will come and say, "Give this person your seat." Then you will be embarrassed, and you will have to take whatever seat is left at the foot of the table. Instead, take the lowest place at the foot of the table. Then, when your host sees you, he will come and say, "Friend, we have a better place for you." Then you will be honored in front of all the other guests. For those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. Then he turned to his host. "When you put on a dinner or a banquet," he said, "do not invite your friends, brothers, relatives, and rich neighbors, for they will invite you back, and that will be your only reward. Instead, invite the poor, the crippled, the lame, and the blind. Then, at the resurrection of the righteous, God will reward you for inviting those who could not repay you." My brothers and sisters, this is the gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
I remember the last time I gave a homily here, I started a joke, a funny story, and no one laughed. I would like to start another story, but if you just want to smile, it's all right. Because the other day I was having this conversation with a group of elderly men, and they were talking about the age, the coming of being confined in the hospital or being in an accident, how they would like to die. That was the topic of the conversation. And there was one who said, "I want to die in the hospital because in the hospital I can, I'll be with my family and talk to them and say goodbye with them." The other one finally said, "I want to die without pain, just sleeping." And then it occurred to me the thing that happened in one church. Somebody was sleeping and he died. And I hope you won't be having a caveat right now listening to this homily, being afraid that you might fall asleep. I won't mind. But don't be afraid. We are in good hands, especially here in St. Matthew. Today we celebrate a beautiful feast, a very important feast in the church. The feast of a very famous saint, Saint Aurelius Augustine. He is the son of Saint Monica, whose feast we celebrated yesterday. And we have some ideas and stories about Saint Augustine, because he is a very a man of intellect. He belongs to the intellectual group of philosophers before he became became Roman Catholic. He was a Manichaean before he became a Catholic. And we know that. But his mother, Saint Monica, have always been praying for his conversion day and night, praying that Augustine would turn to God in the Roman way, in the Catholic way, in the Christian way. Eventually, Augustine received his baptism. He was even baptized by that famous Saint Ambrose, I think. That he was baptized by Ambrose, and he became a Christian, he became a Catholic. But more than that, he developed kind of doctrine on the scholastic philosophy, which contributed much in the ideas of St. Thomas Aquinas later on. For you who are very familiar and very much involved with scholastic philosophy, you might have some ideas about how Augustine Christianized the ancient pagan philosophers like Socrates and Plato. And St. Thomas Aquinas tried to Christianize another one, Aristotle. So these three ancient philosophers are very famous in their time, in the medieval time. But they had also an influence to the ideas and development of scholasticism, especially when it comes to the philosophy of Augustine and also of St. Thomas Aquinas later on. So we always remember those three. When I was still a student in the seminary, my professor would tell us just those three letters, S-P-A, SPA, Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle. So it would be very easy for you to remember, especially when you're going to have an exam. My dear friends, let us focus our mind to the beautiful things that St. Augustine brought to us in connection with our reading today. As in the introduction, we heard from Mirella the summary of two words. She said, humility and giving. Those are the context of our first, second, and third readings today. And we remember also that there was a time, or a number of times, that our very own Bishop Peter quoted Augustine about the idea of humility. I remember that because that was the first time that I was here and he was talking about humility. And he said, Augustine stated that the way to Christ, there are three ways to go to Christ. First, it should be humility. Second, it should be humility. Third, it should be humility. To emphasize that humility is a very important aspect of our Christian life, because humility is the mother of all, as we heard before, mother of all virtues. And he also said that no one reaches the kingdom of heaven except by humility. So that speaks about our second reading, which connects the book of Ecclesiasticus and the Gospel, the book of Sirach, or the book of Ecclesiasticus. They are the same. Our second reading, the book, the letter of Paul to the Hebrews, is a kind of a connection between the two, the first and the last reading about humility. But the second reading speaks about our way towards the fulfillment of what we have been doing in life. So one of the things that we should do is not only to be humble, but to be giving. Humility and giving goes together. When it comes to our reflection to the gospel, St. Luke presented to us not only the humility that has been preached by Christ in his lifetime, but also preached about giving. But it is not just a giving to get rid of what you don't need or what you don't want. It is giving like what Father Arturo said last Sunday, giving till it hurts. If we remember that. But I want to go farther than that. Giving till it hurts no longer. Because when you are like here in St. Matthew, when we are prone to this way of life of giving, giving for us no longer hurts us. We have been giving in the sharing of our talents, our time, our treasure. So many of us here are talented in so many ways, and we have contributed to the not only the survival of St. Matthew, but the success. Because when we speak about humility, we don't speak about the bad things about humility. Like humility is looking down on yourself or criticizing yourself so much that you don't have value anymore. Humility does not mean like that. And we know all that we are trying to possess in humility is the courage and the value of being honest. When we are honest unto ourselves, we are very open and we are very giving to others. It's very difficult for a proud man to be giving and honest. So it reminds me of a story of a young priest who was assigned in a parish in a church, and the pastor, the elderly pastor, preaches every Sunday, and the young priest would listen to his homily. And every time that he finishes his homily, the people in the church would clap their hands. And for 4 Sundays, consecutive Sundays, he noticed that that has been going on. But whenever he preaches to the church, the same church, nobody clapped their hands. No one. And so one day he confronted his priest. Father, I just noticed why in our congregation here, in our community, people, I think, loves you so much. The people love you so much because they clap their hands whenever you finish your homily. But they don't clap their hands when I do my homily. And the old priest said, don't you worry, young man. I have to tell you frankly that they are very happy that my homily ended. So they clap their hands. And also because I told them that if they don't like my homily, they should clap their hands. But if they don't like my homily, they should not clap their hands. I think you see the idea that I'm trying to tell you. They like your homily because they're not clapping their hands. I'm not talking about myself, but if you want to when I end the homily and you don't clap your hands, I would really appreciate that. So my dear friends, it was pride, according to St. Augustine, that changed angels into devils. But it was also humility that makes people like us to become like angels. So it is the importance of humility that Peter was, or St. Augustine was telling through his teachings, and also when he started a community the Augustinian community, keeps on telling his associates and members that we have to constantly be aware of our own openness to God and our own realization that we have, by God's creation, we have some values. We are good. God created us good. But along the way, sometimes we forget. And so we have to acknowledge our failures and shortcomings. But that doesn't mean that you should look down on yourself, because we are valuable persons of God. And as we journey in our life through all this, we want to walk fast, they say, walk alone. If we want to walk further, walk with somebody. But if you want to attain your destiny well and with success, walk with the right people. So that is our challenge in St. Matthew. We have to walk with the right people. That we have been walking with the right people in our community. And it is not pride if we boast about it. Because there is even a title, a book, it says, Boasting in God. So why don't we boast about St. Matthew? But when we boast for something good, not boasting about ourselves of what we have done, but what God has done for us. That's the essence, the content of our boasting. So my dear friends, please don't clap your hands. Amen.
Baptize you in the name of the Father. I baptize you in the name of the Son. I baptize you with the Holy Spirit. Go out and spread good news. I send you out on a mission of love. I send you out on a mission of love. I send you out on a mission of love.